Good morning, and thank you. I think the one method I would share that we've been using successfully with our partners, Caltrans District 11, is the whole concept of design sequencing, where we don't have to get a set of plans that's 100% ready to go before we go out to bid, and we're able to do those sooner. Probably think if there's some lessons we've learned is you got to do enough design so that the contractor can give you a good reasonable bid, but they probably don't totally need to be done. We've exercised this technique of design sequencing, which was really a pilot concept at the state level, and Cindy, I hope that as we move forward that we'll figure out how to make this a regular tool in the toolbox. But we've been able to use it on Interstate 15. We're using it on State Route 905. We're using it on State Route 76. And it's, I think, allowed us to deliver projects a little sooner. But we've also taken some steps within that to, I think, also make it a better process. The traditional way of delivering projects for Caltrans, as an example, is that the designers are often some design office designing the projects, and then they sort of pass the baton off to the construction guys to go figure out how to build what they designed. And in the case of I-15, my good friend Pedro Urso Delgado, the district director at Caltrans at the time, came up with an idea that we think has been very effective for us. And he moved the designers out of Juan Street in District 11 and moved them out to the job site. So now all of a sudden we've got contractors, we got Caltrans designers, we got transit consultants that are working, we got Sandag employees that are part of the team, and really trying to build a team spirit, a team effort, so that when you go to Camp I-15, as we call it, that you can't figure out who works for who. They're all part of the team that's trying to deliver a project. I think the designers have gotten a lot closer. In my past experience at Caltrans, you could sort of track this down the road. The construction guys would complain that they got a crappy set of design plans from the designers, and then the maintenance guys would complain that they got a crappy construction project from the construction guys, and you could sort of follow the loop all the way around. And design sequencing, I think, has allowed us to bring all these different disciplines together in one place. We don't have to have a 100% set of plans. We can move the projects much sooner, much more effectively. We've been able to do that, in order to compete for dollars that are on tight timelines. It's probably it's a lot easier to get a set of plans that are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% done than it is to get something that's 100% ready to go. So it allows us to be a little bit more flexible. And so that's a tool that I would share with you that has been effective for us in San Diego.
Thanks, Gary and Bimla. In Orange County, one of the things that we've had great success with and we're pursuing a lot more is the concept of tolling relative to adding new capacity. I think many of you are familiar with the 91 Express lanes. It started in the mid-90s as a private entity. It was purchased in 2003 by OCTA, and that's been a really important discussion or important experiment in Orange County. And the goal there was really to increase mobility in the corridor. We all know the 91 is a very congested corridor, and we've taken what is an asset and really looked at how we can increase mobility through the corridor. The toll policy is set clearly to cover our operating costs, but at the same time it's set in a way to maximize throughput. So as we balance the traffic flow in the free lanes and the general purpose lanes along with the 91 Express lanes, it's really getting back to the customer, to the taxpayer who is paying for the facility. Clearly, we have to figure out how to pay off $100 million in outstanding bonds. We think that the revenue stream with that is very positive. But as we look at adding new capacity in the county, we look at our experience, again, with the 91 Express lanes and with our partner agency, the Transportation Corridor agencies, and tolling has been very successful in the county. We have approximately 2,000 lane miles in the county total. About 16% of that is tolled. About 11.5% is HOV. It's more than anywhere else in the state of California for sure. And when we looked at extending our local sales tax measure, Measure M2 in 2005, we did a number of polls, as you always do, to put something on the ballot like this. And we asked the question about buying out the toll roads. Should we look at taking local sales tax dollars and buying down or buying out the tolls? And we heard two very clear messages. The people that use the toll roads said absolutely not. We like it. We're willing to pay for the premium service. It's mobility within the region and within the county. And the folks that weren't using it were happy the way it worked. They could use the existing, the I-5, 55, 91 connection. So that led us to believe a lot about what the future might hold for tolling within the county. We think that people are willing to pay for the premium service. They also want the free option. So as we look at new opportunities, we have two on our horizon that we're examining to be toll financed facilities. One would be a direct connection from the 241 toll facility to the 91 Express Lanes toll facility. And we've often thought this would be a great operational project. It has its challenges. The traffic flow moving east into Riverside County is significant. We also acknowledge that RCTC is working to widen the 91, extend the 91 Express Lanes to the 15, and so the operational aspects are very challenging. It would also indicate that we need to understand what the financing ability is to create the connector, and again, focusing on mobility. So we're doing the technical work on that. I think it's important to note that you can make things work technically, but at the end of the day, you also have to look at what the policymakers want to do with the facility. And that leads me to talk about our second project, which is the I-405. Our sales tax measure in Orange County said that we would put $500 million towards the widening of the 405 between roughly the 73 on the south side and the 22 on the north side. And unfortunately, the project's about $2 billion, so we clearly can't finance it with only Measure F2. It was never the intent. We would need to bring in other sources of funding to do that. And we're looking, we're in the environmental process now, so we're looking at, doing the standard, adding one general purpose lane in each direction, adding two general purpose lanes, and then also adding something like a 91 Express Lanes model where you have a high occupancy toll lane within the middle of the facility. And there's a number of issues around that. We think it can be financed through tolls, but there's also the concern of, is this the right thing to do from a policy perspective? So I always like to stress that from a technical standpoint, you can figure out how the facility works, you can engineer the facility, you can use any number of methods to do that, but making sure that the policy of what you're trying to do through the project, are you trying to increase mobility, are you trying to generate revenue and self-finance the project, or are you trying to really look at the operation of the whole facility? Are there intermediate access points? Is it end-to-end, and any issues that we deal with that? So I'll wrap up at that point and just indicate that I think tolling is going to be a big part of the future of the network in Orange County, specifically as it relates to adding existing capacity and building on to what we have in our connections with Riverside County to the east, LA County to the north, and ultimately with San Diego County to the south. So thank you.
It's just not going to work in the long run. And so we're trying to shave years off or decades off of various programs, and more importantly, obviously taking advantage of current construction costs and other things in saving, up to 25% of our project costs. So we're trying to take advantage of those things today. We are trying to generate thousands of jobs up front, and that sort of leads into our 3010. The voters of Los Angeles County once again went to the ballot box and voted themselves to tax themselves for transportation. The discussion has been all about Measure R, but that's the third time. You had Measure A, you had Proposition C, and now Measure R. And so what we've been working at the federal level is trying to say, look, we've got 30 years commitment. Let us leverage. Our folks have taxed themselves 3 times to use some of those dollars up front to accelerate our projects. We had a historic day yesterday, rather long day. Public hearings are always fun. But we did approve the West Side extension. Some call it to the subway to the sea. It's going to stop at Westwood, and our regional connector, which is going to really allow us to accelerate Gold Line, Blue Line, and interface downtown. So it was a long day, but very historic. We worked very, very hard on these particular projects, but we really believe these public-private partnerships, or P3s, are going to work because they're going to allow us to share some of our downside with the contractor, either in the building or in the operation piece. And from our perspective, since LA County is so far behind in transportation kinds of issues, it's going to be an important piece of our progress forward. I think there's going to be another opportunity, but I can go into specific projects, but that's all for now.
Thank you. The Department of Transportation in California is working on a variety of different delivery methods. Among them is the design-build method, which is very similar to what Gary was talking about with regard to design sequencing. The difference between design sequencing and design-build is that in the design-build model, it's a private sector company that is working in coordination with the contractor rather than Caltrans working with the contractor in a more phased-in approach for project delivery. In other states, we have discovered that the design-build approach can trim the time required to get a project moved from to construction by 18 months to 2 years on average. So that is a significant opportunity to accelerate. So we're very excited about the opportunity that's been provided to us by SBX 24 earlier this year. We've been working with the California Transportation Commission. The legislature authorized Caltrans to have 10 design-build projects. The local agencies have 5 design-build slots on their local systems. We've already identified 6 of those projects and expect to have our first design-build contract under contract within the next few months. So we're really excited about that. And another point I just wanted to raise in passing is none of these different kinds of delivery mechanisms that we've been talking about operate necessarily independently of each other. One of the things that I'm most excited about as a director of transportation is the things that we're learning. As you implement a design-build project and you see some of the benefits of those design-build techniques that the contractor and the design consultant are able to work at because they're working together right from the inception. They're innovating, they're coming up. It's a whole different way to think about a project. It's not standards and specifications and you have to do it this way. It's actually being able to convey a project from the perspective of what it is intended to accomplish and freeing up the private sector, the consultant and the contractor to work together to innovate ways to make that project happen. From my perspective at Caltrans, that is really exciting because we can take that same kind of innovative technique and apply it to all kinds of different projects. The one thing I think we need to be watching for is there is no one way that will work 100% of the time. We need to be able to have all of these different tools available to us so that we can apply them strategically across the board, identify where specific techniques work in some areas where they aren't so successful, but most important, build on it, to get some synergy going so that we're able to improve the processes all the way across the line.
Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be back with you again. It's a real pleasure. Chair Kanavi and the Metro staff, I'm really wanted to congratulate you for yesterday. It was a real landmark decision. I'm very pleased to see that happen. I actually had the thought of maybe I'd come in and watch it at the board meeting. And then my senses returned to me. I thought maybe I could just read about it in the LA Times. I didn't even have a chance to do that, but I did hear this morning first thing that things went well. Congratulations, that's a huge landmark, and it really bodes well for the future. I had kind of the opposite experience that all you coming from LA had today. I came from Riverside, and I was going speed limit until I hit Orange County, and midway through the 91, I don't have a toll pass, and then I just kind of creeped in from there. So it is a little bit different perspective that I have now.